So does Satan equal Lucifer? This is all based off Isaiah 14, particularly verse 12. But the context of Isaiah 14 is this taunt song against the king of Babylon. And 14 verse 12, this is the King James Version. It says, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer," capital L, "son of the morning." And that Lucifer there in the King James Version, that is a transliteration, not a translation, a transliteration of the Latin. So it's not a Hebrew word. We'll talk about this Hebrew word in just a second. It's so hard to research Lucifer and Satan because they're so enmeshed together. So it's so difficult to find artworks is it Lucifer or Satan, or is it Satan Lucifer? The only time you know is when it's labeled, like in this piece of artwork. It says Lucifer over his head.
So you go back again to my upbringing. You were taught that they were one and the same.
That's my question. Are these two different creatures?
Well, that's what your son's saying.
Are Satan and Lucifer two different creatures? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying Lucifer's not a creature at all.
Is something made up?
No, the name is wrong. Because, okay, Isaiah 14 verse 12, you can see this is the actual Latin where he uses the word Lucifer. This is not the only time that he uses the word Lucifer. And Lucifer is not a bad translation of the Hebrew. The Hebrew is Hallel ben Shachar or Shahar. Okay, that's this. Let me go back to here. This, "O Lucifer, son of the morning." Lucifer, son of the morning, is Hallel ben Shachar in Hebrew. Okay? The ben Shahar part is not the issue. That's not the translation issue. The translation issue is this Hallel. It's the only time it comes up in the Bible. You call that a hapax legomenon. Scholars even today are not sure if that word is even a noun or a verb. That's how unsure of they are with this word. You can see that the Syriac translation of Isaiah 14:12, it just translates it as a verb. Wail at dawn. That's how they translate the Hallel. And they have good reasons for that. The Vulgate, let me go back to the Vulgate for just a second. It does use, I mentioned this, it does use Lucifer in other verses, like in 2 Peter 1:19. So it uses Lucifer. And if you want the other verses, Job 11:7, Job 38:32, and Psalm 109 verse 3. Those are passages where Jerome also uses the word Lucifer. Again, good. It's a fine translation. If you look up 2 Peter 1:19, it says like something about a morning star. It's a good translation of it. But it's only in Isaiah 14:12 where this word Lucifer becomes a proper name. Michael Heiser, Unseen Realm, Naked Bible Project, he translates Hallel as a shining one, which is that's right in line with most scholars. Something kind of shiny. And nearly all early Jewish and Christian translators of Isaiah 14:12 make Hallel a synonym for bright or shiny. So maybe a translation of it would be, "Oh, you bright one, son of the dawn," which, that makes sense.
And that just sounds lovely.
It sounds beautiful, yes. It's most likely referring to the day star, Venus. Because, think about Venus in the sky, right? They didn't know it was a planet back then. They knew it was weird, though. They knew all the planets were weird. So out in this dark area of the sky, there's all these little bright lights. And most of them, the vast majority of them, follow a pattern. They twinkle and they follow a pattern. They kind of move around in the sky. But the planets, they don't twinkle. And they are all over the sky. Sometimes they're not even there. And then there's this one, Venus, that just hangs on. I mean, it's so strong that you can still see it as the sun is coming up. And so it was seen as this rebel. It's this little rebel star up in the sky. You know, he's shaking his fist at the sun going, I'm not going to go away until you're fully up. I mean, that was the idea. Does that make sense? So it would be, for them, it was easy for them to connect a Venus up in the sky to a rebel. Okay, so then how does Satan equal Lucifer? Okay, here's some steps. This is how this happened. Okay, so the life of Adam and Eve, which was written in 1st through 5th century CE, it's debatable about when it was written. 2nd Enoch, it connects the Hallel of Isaiah 14:12 with the Satan and the devil. And many early church fathers did the same thing. So, but then, okay, then Jerome translates what we just talked about. He translates 14:12 using the word Lucifer around 380. As time goes on, in medieval times, Lucifer became a proper name for a rebellious angel. Because the little stars up in the sky, they were these little, they're like these lowercase g gods. How else are they up there?
That's what they thought.
That's what they thought, right? That all these stars are little gods, the little Elohim. Then, so they start making some connections to the Satan. Lucifer, Satan, Satan, Lucifer. Now in English, here's the linchpin here. The King James Version Bible, like I mentioned, published 1611, transliterates Lucifer from the Latin because they were so much more familiar with Latin. You know, if they didn't know what a word was, why would they know what Hallel is? Scholars today still don't know what it is. So they go, well, Jerome translated it as Lucifer, so we'll just transliterate it to Lucifer and make it a proper noun.
That Jerome is the one that's the problem.
Jerome, yeah, you know, well, I think Jerome is doing, you know, as I've read Jerome, he is doing his best to translate things. I think his problem was that he did most of his work in isolation. So he didn't have somebody checking his work, which in his defense, who is he going to get to check his work? There's not that many people, you know, who know that have his kind of knowledge. Whereas the Septuagint translators, this is a committee, this is a group. So I'm sure there were some checks and balances there. But so again, like, I don't want to blame Jerome here with this Lucifer translation, though. It's not. Lucifer is a good translation in the Latin. It's what people did to it afterwards. Then, to give the Satan and Lucifer a big boost, Milton's Paradise Lost, which, you know, published not that long after the King James Version Bible, it explicitly links Satan and Lucifer as one and the same. And we'll talk about this the last week, many people's ideas of hell and the Satan and demons, they come from Paradise Lost. Does this make sense? Like, yeah?
Just to go back to Isaiah passage.
Okay.
It's like you read quite a bit of it. They talk about if you were fallen from heaven, but they refer to him and they were saying, those who see you ponder your fate, are you the man who shook the earth?
Are you the man?
The 2 or 3 translate, I mean, they continue referring to him as the man, the man.
Yeah, because what Isaiah 14 is actually about is a taunt song about the king of Babylon. That's what it's actually about. But what is the analogy? Well, some kind of rebellious divine being. Is that Satan? It doesn't say in Isaiah 14 if it is. Again, Michael Heiser, he connects Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28, and Genesis 3 together. But he's always a little reticent to connect it to the Satan then.
I'm just curious because obviously they never confuse that they can't angel or man. Read your one.
Yeah, let me read this. So here I want to read this to you because this article was what he says at the end was so powerful. So his idea, okay, is this sounds really technical, but it's not all that technical. I'll see if I can explain it. This guy, scholar Albani, he flat out says the figure of Hallel in Isaiah 14:12 has nothing to do with Satan. That's a direct quote. So then he goes on to say that the Hallel ben Shakar is an epithet of a post-mortal stellar existence of a deified king. Because think about it, right? Kings were already like demigods when they were on earth. The expectation was that when they died, they would become fully deified and become like a star up in the sky. But this particular guy, this king of Babylon, he wants to be the star. Well, he can't be the star, so he's going to get cast down. However, okay, let me keep reading what he says. These are not direct quotes, these are more of my notes, but the pride of the king is that he's not satisfied with his post-mortem status as a star, but wants to be the center of the heavens. He wants to be the sun. This is hubris, pride, and thus so he's cast down. But this is where the article got really powerful. This is in direct contrast to another king. This is a quote. The New Testament antithesis to the tyrannical Babylonian king who attempts to ascend the throne of the Most High on the mountain of God is exemplified in Matthew 4:8. Jesus resists the temptation to worship the Satan on a very high mountain and rejects this as a way of attaining rule over the entire world. Thus, Jesus proves himself to be the true Son of God. Jesus does the exact opposite of what this Isaiah 14 king is doing. However, okay, but this, again, the scholar was really astute. He pushes it even a step further. He extends the contrast by pointing out that the Babylonian king, on his own efforts, wants to be glorified as the center of the afterlife by ascending the heavens. However, Jesus descended to the depths, only to be taken up to the heavens by God, leading the way for, quote, the democratization of the royal privilege of a beatific afterlife as believers follow and participate in Christ's way of salvation. Because you see, like you and I are going to be glorified. But we're going to be glorified because we follow Jesus, not because we're going to lift ourselves up by our own bootstraps like this Isaiah king wants to do.